Here's a shout out to the girl who made me realize I wasn't straight. I was 12. She was a year older. We were in the same grade. 7th grade, to be exact. She showed me options I didn't know I could explore. Gave me words to articulate my views, and sure did expand my music tastes. She was so much smarter than me in so many ways. Here's a shout out to the girl whose body fit against mine like puzzle pieces. She made me understand the appeal of a partner that's taller than yourself. It felt good to hold her, and it felt good to have her hold me. I could comfort her, and she would comfort me. We linked our arms when we walked, mine through hers, perfectly. Here's a shout out to the girl who made me laugh constantly. We shared every joke and story. We swiped tears from our eyes and continued to laugh. She would smile so beautifully. Here's a shout out to the girl who could harmonize with me anytime. Singing would forever connect us. Her voice echoes in my ears. Here's a shout out to the girl that let me draw in her sketchbook. We sat side by side creating an art class. We painted watercolor galaxies onto the backs of our hands. I could always draw on her for inspiration. Here's a shout out to the girl that I shared the worlds inside my head with. We wrote across from each other, silent but together. She listened, and I listened to her as she plotted her way through writing. Here's a shout out to the girl that I could always talk to. We never had nothing to say, be it books, music, movies, or anything else. Silence was rare, but never awkward. Here's a shout out to the girl that wouldn't let me insult myself. She simply wouldn't allow it. Here's a shout out to the girl that told me she had a crush on me, but I couldn't believe it because my crippling self-esteem issues. Here's a shout out to the girl who was my first kiss. We never dated, but we had a flirtationship. Kisses, compliments, and caring. Here's a shout out to the girl I left a red kiss mark on her cheek, and she wore it like a badge of honor. That is until our assistant principal stopped to inform her, and I turned away to hide my lips. Here's a shout out to the girl whose voice I barely remember. I miss her saying my name. I miss her calling me sweetness. We haven't spoken in ages. Here's a shout out to the girl that started homeschooling in 9th grade. We texted for a while, until she didn't text back. Here's a shout out to the girl I called and sang happy birthday to her voicemail. I texted her so many times. I called her, and I don't call anyone. Here's a shout out to the girl that didn't get away, because I didn't realize that I should have gone after her. Here's a shout out to the girl that I still can't clarify my feelings about. Here's a shout out to the girl I need to help me identify the pieces of my heart. Here's a shout out to her 14th birthday. She invited me to my first trip to Six Flags. It was just her father, and I. Here's a shout out to her telling me the best rides, to her comforting me because I couldn't reach the safety belt for acrophobia. Here's a shout out to leaving as they played It's a Wonderful World. To how when we passed under the light-covered arch, it flashed the rainbow. Here's a shout out to the picture her dad took of us arm in arm under that rainbow. Here's a shout out to when my dad picked me up and her dad said that we, quote, really love each other. Here's a shout out to when I asked what her dad thought of me. She said that he led the conversation to its end with the subject of marriage. We were still in 8th grade, for heaven's sake. Here's a shout out to the girl that I remember seeing in my dreams. In one, she returned to school. In context of the dream's logic, it was a nightmare. But she was in it, so I fondly refer to it as a dream. Here's a shout out to the girl that taught me how to waltz in the middle school library. We were the squad's OTP. We won every cute couple contest. Here's a shout out to a girl that I love, that I miss, that is gone, that I let go. Here's a shout out to a girl I'll never forget, not in a million years.